Good morning, gamers. I'm Good Morning Gamer, and today it's finally happening. Just looking at the N64 fills my heart to the brim with happy. Just happy. I still have the console out in my room just in case the mood ever strikes, and whenever I do fire up one of these classic games, a flood of emotions and memories just course through my veins. This was my first console. I mean, sure, I played a few NES games here and there, but this was the first one to sit in my house, where I could dive into a new adventure at my own free will. It made a real difference in my life, and I can credit some of these games with teaching me the values that I still hold dear today. So that's why, although it's been done before, I present to you my top 10 Nintendo 64 games. I had to do it. I didn't have to do it, but I did it. I'm doing it.
Midway presents War Gods.
Okay, weird start to the list, I know. You've probably never even heard of War Gods. And if you have, you're probably thinking, it's an alright game. But to me, it holds a special place in my gaming heritage. Even though I only played War Gods a handful of times as a kid, I'll never forget the demonic narrator's voice.
Sci-Fi wins.
And some of the more bizarre characters. What the fuck? It's not a terrible game. The controls are pretty... the controls kinda suck. But the combos and special attacks are... they're okay. Okay, maybe this game blows, but you can't deny that it has some character to it. Look at them all. See? Characters? The backgrounds and environments are quirky and strange, the semi-3D fighting style was sorta cool, and some of the fatalities are actually pretty awesome. Maybe you think a different game is more deserving of the number 10 spot here, and you're not wrong. Because I think we can all look back on a few unpopular games that, for whatever reason, mean a lot to us. Now this is a different story. I played this game for countless hours as a kid and tried my hardest to understand why I was taking pictures of Pokemon instead of catching and enslaving the, training them for battle. Nevertheless, Pokemon Snap quickly grew into one of my favorite games. There were discoveries to be made, goals to achieve, and always interesting surprises. Tell me the first time you saw Charizard bust out of that lava, you didn't take your pants off and run around the house. No? Well, I did. Because it was awesome. It offered a ton of replayability for this very reason. You never knew what was around the next corner. You could go through each region multiple times and see totally different Pokemon, doing totally different things. And the pacing of the courses was perfect, leaving you eager to find what may lay around the next turn. Take all this, add in an atmospheric soundtrack, add a crackpot professor, and you have a great game for when you want to put a quick smile on your face. Suck 'em. Yeah. You weren't tethered to the ground in this racer. Oh no. You could use a standard cart, an airplane, or a hovercraft. Why? The courses weren't particularly eventful, but there were other features that kept this game interesting. Oh my god. Anyway, racing was fun because you could build up items to make your weapons more lethal. And if you had the skill, you could drift your way through the corners like in Mario Kart. The game also debuted Conker the Squirrel and Banjo the Bear, who would go on to star in their own titles for the N64. Look at that, Conker and Banjo right next to each other. You drove through an overworld to each course instead of selecting from a map. So even though the courses themselves weren't the most inspired, the inventiveness of the game as a whole made it one of my favorites. Star Fox 64. This was the beginning. You got home from school, threw down your backpack, did your homework diligently, then you ran to the TV and popped in Star Fox and set out on another adventure to save Lylat. And I do mean another adventure, because anytime you played Star Fox 64, your skill level would dictate your path through the cosmos. So the more you played, the better you would get, and thus the more difficult the mission would become. In other words, if you suck, you go down, and if you're good, you go up. In addition to this, you couldn't save your progress, so each playthrough really held some value. You wouldn't start up a game if you weren't ready to devote about an hour or so. But that's not saying much because an hour of this game feels like 10 minutes. The gripping gameplay, an immersion factor, the silly characters, the epic soundtrack, the variance in landscapes, and the satisfaction that you could achieve made this game an absolute joy. Now we're all looking forward to Star Fox Zero in 2016, but without the original providing such a unique playing experience in '97, I'm not sure there'd be this much hype for a 3D scrolling shooter. We'll see you again soon, Fox. When Paper Mario first came out, I'm pretty sure like 90% of Mario fans out there were like, what the fuck? But today we all understand. It's another Mario RPG. It was even known as Super Mario RPG 2 at first, but then they changed the name to something more deceptive just to fuck with us. Well, they made us all RPG lovers. Mario was still out to defeat Bowser, but the way that he would achieve this was a bit different. You know how RPGs work, and this was just that, except Mario-ified. Experience points became star points, and special powers were deemed flower points. I think this game was so great thanks to the silly dialogue and enemy design, and just the quirky 2D/3D layout of the environments. The general bubbly feel of the worlds made this game a happy place to be, even if some of the characters you meet are bizarre. You can now get this game in all its glory for $10 on the eShop, so if you've never played it, I don't know, you can do what you want. It's good. Another first of its series, the original Super Smash Bros. Was such a revolutionary title. You and 3 friends could sit down and duke it out, playing as some of the most iconic characters of the time. Man, how freaking cool was it to take control of Pikachu and zap the fuck out of Mario and Samus? Not only this, but they made stages specific to each game franchise. The music was equally diverse, and the sound effects were super satisfying. All in all, it still feels good to play this game, even though it's a little outdated. Maybe you've only played the newest version, playing online with strangers, but this one forced you to sit right next to your friends and scream with excitement when something like this happened. It ain't cheap. At this point, you could have a nice copy of Melee for about the same price, but if you want to dig back to the roots of modern Smash, this is a must-have. I just recently put out a video about the original Mario Party, where I revisited the game for the first time in 15 years. But even in all that time, there were so many things that went unforgotten. The overworld music, the Mecha Fly Guy, the hand swords from the control stick, Bowser being a dick, and of course, insane amounts of fun. This was the original games inside of a game, for me at least. You picked your favorite Nintendo character, smashed the number block, and gave it your all in the minigames. It brought on some arguments, sure, but what good competitive game doesn't? And better yet, the opponent who just destroyed you at bumper balls may very well be your partner in the next 2v2 game, so the gameplay was always interesting. One of my favorite minigames was Castaways. I remember getting pretty good at this one, and timing the cast just right to grab the hard-to-reach treasure chests. The music was catchy, the games were all insanely varied, and the fun was through the roof. And it still is. Still going with this. This game provided one of the most quirky and clever adventures that I've ever seen in gaming. Banjo-Kazooie is bursting with silly humor and exciting new ways to play from start to finish. At one point, you'll be flying over the white sands of Treasure Trove Cove. And before you know it, you'll be creeping through the pipes of Clanker's Cavern. Everything about it feels perfect. You know what your mission is going into each place, because it's kept consistent. Collect jiggies and musical notes while avoiding danger. That's it. But the methods you use to do so change, along with the environments and the musics. All the while, you've got this psycho witch Gruntilda reminding you that she took your sister, thus giving you reason to push on. Even the overworld in this game was an adventure. You had to figure out how to get to the next world. It wasn't just laid out before you on a map, but getting there was half the fun. Finally, you'd reach a new place, jump inside, and wait anxiously to find what was to come. The music kept things bubbly and interesting, morphing to a more aquatic tone in the water, or a more woodland tone in the forest. I've got my copy of Yooka-Laylee on hold, and I hope you've got yours. because I can't wait for another adventure like Banjo-Kazooie. Majora's Mask. Ocarina of Time could just as well have been on the list here, but I've already talked a lot about that one, so whatever. Majora's Mask is freaking weird. You've got this freaking thing looking at you all the time, inching closer by the hour, and I've never really been a fan of time crunching in games, but at least you had a good reason to get things done. Look at it. No. You're still adventuring through worlds and defeating enemies, but now the element of time and character transformation really fleshed out the game. But most of all, the strangeness of the game really stuck with me. Just look at Deku Link and his weirdly awesome trumpets. What the fuck? But more than the strangeness is the often serene moments. I think I speak for all Zelda fans when I say that the Clock Town would make a great second home. The jolly music and the lively areas. Hey guys, can I juggle too? Whatever, I just wanna dance! It spawned countless fan creations, critical acclaim, and millions of permanently scarred children. I love Majora's Mask. Super Mario 64. This was it. This was the pinnacle of my childhood gaming days. My sisters and I beat this game together over the course of several weeks, maybe months. I don't know, I'm not sure how smart we were. But we took turns controlling Mario through these beautiful landscapes, letting the sights and sounds inspire us. The game's design was just so whimsical. You go into a magical castle with paintings that you dive into. Each world was just the right size with its own unique feel. Some were water levels like Jolly Roger Bay. So peaceful I could die here. And some were land like Spiral Mountain. Each level was clever and challenging in its own way, and making your way through the castle became second nature. You'd bust through the front doors, spiral up the winding staircase to whichever level you needed to complete. I think my favorite level in the game was Tick-Tock Clock. Even though it was frustrating, especially if you fell from the top, it just felt so special. You're inside a clock, and if you jump in at different times, you'd find the pendulum swinging at different speeds. The final star was super challenging because you couldn't stop the clock and make it easier to move around. You actually needed it to be moving to get to where the star was. So you had to make your way all the way up to the top with all the platforms spinning and minute hands turning. But every level had something special to offer. Remember the 2 stone hands inside the pyramid? So sweet. And the monkey who would steal your hat and wear it? Ooh, or how about when you were racing the big penguin and you accidentally discovered the secret passageway through the wall? Oh, or going into the volcano for the very first time. Gosh, so many great memories from Mario 64. I might have become a different person had I not adventured through all of these games in my childhood. I might have watched too much TV or become friends with some kind of troublemaker. I don't know. I might have gone outside too much and started reading too many books or... Wait. No, that's not the point. The point is the N64 had a huge impact on me, and I wouldn't change it for anything. It's a comfort to see it standing there on my table today, because it represents countless hours of happiness with the people I care about most. It's brought people together, it's made us feel happy, it's made us feel mad, it's made us feel accomplished. It showed us what good music sounds like. And it even taught us that it's important to show compassion.
Thanks, Fox. I thought they had me.
The N64 is a perfect testament to the fact that gaming should be considered an art form, not a waste of time. So thanks for watching Good Morning Gamer, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye. Hey, Yosh. Oh, you want a kiss? You want a kiss? He's fine. He's just snoozing.